Okay, so this is a video I actually been wanting to do for like a while now, but if you can't tell by the title, this is how I would rewrite Rent a Girlfriend if like someone told me go rewrite this crap. My take on it. Alright? So originally I wanted to do a video on the third what was it? Was it the third? No, fourth season. But I'm gonna be honest, the Hawaiians arc is probably my least favorite arc in the entire series of Rent a Girlfriend. And like I've stated many times before, this series to me is kind of a guilty pleasure series. Like I'll enjoy it, but I know it's trash at the same time for the sake of being garbage. So with that, I kind of wanted to make a little thought experiment. What if we made Rent a Girlfriend actually bearable? Like we actually made this series actually looks like it's gonna have potential. It could be a cool romance. That's what I'm aiming to do today. Yeah, this is just a rewrite. I'm not a writer or anything, but just let me know what you guys think. I've been thinking about this for like a while now, but essentially the premise of Rent a Girlfriend would be pretty much the same thing, but I'm just gonna tweak it just a little bit. For starters, Ruka is gonna be Kazuya's childhood friend. Now, hear me out first, but the twist is they actually dated before. The only difference is Kazuya doesn't really recognize her because she's changed just a little bit. And the reason he's so insecure, it's still gonna follow the whole plot line where mommy pretty much dumps him and he goes on to Rent a Girlfriend, which is Chizuru. But pretty much the whole thing is he's always had trouble with women. Yeah, his first girlfriend was his childhood friend, but then his childhood friend pretty much moved on and he felt kind of betrayed. So ever since then, he tried to get another girlfriend. That's when many years later, he encountered mommy and he thought, okay, I get another chance. I'm gonna meet another girl. And the same thing happens. This girl pretty much leaves her. So he's out in the dumps thinking, damn, pretty much no woman really wants me. The girl I dated when I was younger didn't like me at all, even though we were like childhood friends. I guess she didn't really like me. And mommy, my ex, I'm in college now, whatever. That's when he ultimately comes across Chizuru, and I still am gonna have their similar dynamic. But the thing is, with Kazuya, his personality is not gonna be gooner. It's gonna be kind of tame in a way. Like he's pretty much depressed. He's going through this self-hatred period, because you know how all young guys are, especially if you're college age. You know, when you're down in the dumps, you kind of feel shitty or whatever. You want to find an outlet for your expression. I think we all been there. We've all been like heartbroken, at least for most guys. That's pretty much his state at the moment. He feels like no one loves him. He feels like he can't really be with women because every time he gets close to someone, they pretty much just kind of leave him. And so he's in this state where like, what can I really do? What's really wrong with me? Yeah, he's happy for a time, but when he encounters Chizuru, I'm gonna keep that whole dilemma pretty much the same thing, because I do like that introduction arc. I do like the arc between them, and already I feel like my rewrite is kind of better. That's why Ruka being so close to Kazuya makes a little bit more sense, since in the anime she kind of just loves him randomly, which is kind of weird because she has some weird heart problem. And in this series, we're gonna kind of keep it the same thing, but like I said, they're gonna be childhood friends. When they eventually encounter one another, Kazuya has pretty much like moved on. He still feels kind of reluctant to talk about her, to meet up with her, because he's kind of confused as to why Ruka is all up in his business, why she's still madly in love with him even though she left him in the first place. And it's not till later on where it's gonna have her own arc where it reveals as to why Ruka chose to leave Kazuya, some personal issues, some health issues, and this kind of makes Kazuya conflicted in a way. Now, Sumi's arc, she's gonna be kind of like I'm gonna keep Sumi's arc the same thing. Like, she really likes Kazuya. She just doesn't really know how to explain herself to him, because Kazuya, at this point in time, he still hates himself. He doesn't understand other people. He doesn't really understand women's emotion, because he thinks the world is out to get him every time he gets close to someone. Yeah, that's why I like Sumi as a character, because she's kind of the polar opposite. She's very much into Kazuya. She just doesn't really know how to express it. So her whole arc, I'm gonna pretty much keep it the same, because I really do love every time Sumi comes in. As for Yaimorei, we're still gonna keep her the same thing. She's that cool neighbor, whatever, who doesn't really see any romantic feelings towards Kazuya. She's just pretty chill at the moment. As for Chizuru, pretty much her and Kazuya's dynamic, she starts to notice he's down in the dumps, but every time he rents her, he feels a little bit better about himself, and she starts to think, I guess it's kind of working, but she wonders herself, why is he still renting me? Like, does he need help or whatever the case is? As time goes on throughout the show, this is pretty much at the point where Chizuru is slowly gonna develop feelings for Kazuya. And the thing is, you know how every time in this series they're about to confess to one another, but then they pause? That's pretty much, Kazuya has like this weird flash forward. He has like these weird visions. Every time he tries to confess, he has things of like bad memories of like when he was dating people like Ruka and Mami, how something bad would happen, he would always blame it on himself. So every time he tries to ask Chizuru out, he pretty much like freezes because he thinks he's gonna get rejected, which is why, you know how in this series like they pause randomly. That's pretty much my explanation for the series. It's not gonna happen too often, but just in certain moments where you know it's very important for the character dynamic. That's how I would explain that. He just kind of hates himself. He just kind of views himself as below human. He's a pretty good guy. Everyone thinks he's a really nice person. He's pretty good with people. It's just with women, he just doesn't really have any issues. Instead of making him a gooner, I'm just going to make him like a depressed dude, which kind of makes this more entertaining because he's a college student at the end of the day, and running a girlfriend is the only way he can like express his emotions. So that's pretty much how I would rewrite Rent a Girlfriend, like change some of the character dynamics to make it make a little bit more sense. As for Ruka, we're gonna age her up, yes, a little bit slightly, because I find it kind of weird that she's like a high school student and he's like 19, 20, so she's just like a year or two older, so the age gap kind of makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, like that makes a little bit more sense. As for Mami, she still is out to get revenge on Kazuya for whatever the reason, because she's kind of weird. And yeah, that's pretty much how I would rewrite Rent a Girlfriend, how I would make these characters, yes, a little bit better. Sumi's personality is still going to be the same. Ruka is probably the only one that has the most drastic of change. Chizuru, I kind of want to implement this thing where Kazuya and Chizuru pretty much know of each other very vaguely, because since their grandmas are good friends, they encountered one another when they were younger. That's why every time he's on a rental date with her, he tries to figure out, who is she? Why is she so familiar? Where have I seen this girl? So in a sense, they're kind of like childhood friends, but not really. I know that childhood friend trope gets really annoying, but in a series like this, I feel like it would be really fascinating to incorporate, okay, one, he's already dated a childhood friend of his and pretty much dumped him, and this one is just kind of a friend, but they just vaguely talk since their grandmas are friends. That's pretty much my whole thing about Rent a Girlfriend, how I would rewrite some of the characters, some of the plot lines to make it a little bit better. Obviously, the movie arc is still going to be the same. The Hawaiian arc, I'm going to wait to see how it is before I make some changes, but that's just my idea. But if you guys want to see a continuation of this series, like certain arcs or whatever, let me know, because I 100% would be down. That's just my thoughts. I would rewrite the series to make it a little bit more entertaining, to make it a little bit more bearable. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Did I do a good job? Did I not do a good job? So yeah, peace.